So today I'll be teaching you how to make a basic turban cap with a V-shaped band. So what you need for this class basically is just a scuba fabric, and this is actually called a light, not really the hard scuba that you know, but something that is a bit thick but not too thick. You need your tape, your thread, your scissors, and your thread and your needle, because after you join your band to the cap, the other things you'll be doing is basically thread and needle. So I'll go straight to cutting the fabric, and what you need for this cap is just your head circumference, and your head circumference is basically the shape of your head. So you can use let's say the standard measurement for head circumference is 23, but you can use from 21 to 23 depending on the kind of cap or the person you are making the cap for, but 23 will be okay for any normal kind of person. So first of all, I've gotten the base of the cap, which is 23 as I said. You will not need to add any allowance to it. It will just be the 23. And then the width, what you need for the width of the cap, you can use from 13, you can use from 12 to 16. But 13 is actually so you need the width of your cap. I'll be using 13 because 13 is actually accurate. It's not too big, it's not too small. So I'll be using 13 for the width, and then 23 for the length. So I'll cut this out and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so I finished cutting out the base of the cap. That I said we're going to use 13 and 23. So now you can see this is our cap. This is the base of our cap now. So we'll go straight, we'll keep this aside and then cut out the band. For your band, you can use, it depends. Okay, now so we'll be cutting out our band, the band for our cap. So when you want to cut out this band, your head circumference is 23. Because this kind of band is a V-shaped kind of band, you divide your head circumference into two, and then you will add like 2.5 inches to that head circumference. Let me explain what I just said now. The head circumference we are using is 23, right? We divide 23 divided by 2, that is 11 and a half. 11 and a half, you add 2 inches to 11 and a half to get your band. That 2 inches you are adding, because we are going to be cutting out, we are going to be making a V kind of band. It's not a straight band. So you're going to like cut out 2 inches out in a V-shaped manner to get that V shape. You understand as we go on. So now I'll mark out the band. For this one, I said we'll be using 11 and a half, and then we'll be adding 2.5 inches. So we're using 13 and a half. This 13 and a half, we're going to cut it into 2 places. So, and the width of the band depends on what kind of band, how full you want your band to be. If you want your band to be very full, you can use 5 inches. I think that's the fullest. But if you want it to be just moderate, 3.5, 2.5 is actually small. You can use 3.5, 4 to get the width of your band. So I'll mark out, but for me, I'll be using 3 inches for this band. I just want a moderate kind of band. So I'll be marking out using 3 for the band, and I'll be cutting this band into 2 places, because our band is not a straight band, it's a V-shaped kind of band. So measure again. This 13 and a half, I'll try to make this 13 and a half. This is 3. This is 3. This is 3. So I'll cut this into 2 places, and then I'll get back to you again. So we have gotten our 2 pieces of fabric for the band. So I'll be moving into showing you what I meant by adding 2 inches to the actual length. So I'll be folding this into two, and I'll be using office pin to hold it down for it to stay. So I folded our band into two. This is it. I just use office pin to help me hold it down while I cut out that 2 inches out of the band. So now this is how my fabric is. I'll place my tape on it and then mark on two and then slant it this way. This is what I did. I marked out two, then slant out. I'll do this for the two pieces that I cut out. This is for us to get that our V shape. I'll do the same thing for this other side, for this other fabric. So after cutting out that two, this is what we have. Then I'll place it this way, place the second one this way. You notice that our V shape is already coming out. This is what you have in front. So now I'll go ahead, I'll sew from here with this one on it like this. I'll sew down here again, sew down, and then to become one piece. It will no longer be two. So then before we come back to our base, to the base of our cap, then I'll show you what you do on it before you use your thread and needle. So after joining the two bands together, this is what we have. You can see you already have the V shape. So now what we'll be doing, we'll be joining the band now to the base of the cap. Okay, now so this is the base of the cap now. So the back is going to have a special kind of effect, and that effect is the kind of curvy this thing you see at the back, something that they pleat. You have to pleat the back side. So to get that, for that thing to come out perfect, we'll have to make a curve, and that curve is, we're going to be deducting from this open edge. We have folded our fabric into two pieces. From this pointed area, you're going to place your tape like this and mark out 3. Then on this other side, you mark out 5, and you mark 5 too downward. When you're done, you join this and then you join this well, giving it that curve. So we'll cut this out. After cutting, then then you will now sew it. But before sewing this down, we'll attach the band to it. So let me cut this out and I'll show you how it looks like. So after cutting it, this is what we have now. Then now what we're going to be doing now is to get the center of this cap, center of your cap. You notch it like this. So after notching it, you open it and then place your band like this. So I'm going to go back to my sewing machine and sew this like this. Sew this on it like this, attaching the band to the cap. So I'll do that and then I'll get back to you. So I've joined the band to the body of the cap, and then I went ahead to sew these parts. That's the edge of the cap, as I earlier said. So this is what our cap is coming out already. So now the next thing we'll do, after joining the band to the cap neatly, then what I'm going to do now is to come, you can start from any side, any point. in doing the next thing. The next thing we're going to be doing now is we're going to be using our thread and needle to make the pleats that used to be at the back. So now I'm using shoemaker thread. Actually using I'm using a shoemaker thread to do this because it's stronger than the normal thread. But if you don't have shoemaker thread, you can use the normal sewing thread that we all use, but then you have to double the thread so that it will not like pull off after knitting it. So now start from here. No, actually, let's start from here. I'll start from here. I'll start from here to do the knitting, and it's just easy. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. So we'll do that till we get to the end of this cap. But there's something here. When you get to this point, you don't knit the band. The band is just your actual size, so there's no need of knitting the band also. So we'll stop directly before the band. So that's all. I'll do that, and then so I've done that. I just finished knitting it, and this it's not that tight, it's just there. And this is our cap after knitting. This is what I was trying to talk about. This is our cap, and this is the front view. You can actually wear this with any extra attachment. Like you can actually use, most people use rose on it, or they make it like something like a ruffle on it and just attach it, any kind of attachment. But this is a simple basic kind of cap. You can also still wear it just as it is. So now I'll be showing, but for me I'll be attaching a rose to it because I don't like it plain. So I'll be showing you how to make that rose, very simple rose with a cover button on it, or will I say another, just anything to beautify it. So that's all for this cap. So now we'll be going over to doing our rose. So for the rose, well, I'm going to be cutting out 15 inches length by 2.5 inches width. So I'll cut 2.5 inches is on fold. When you open it, is 5 inches per width, but mine is on fold. So I'll cut this out, and then just as the way we knitted the back of the cap, we'll be knitting also the rose. And mind you, this rose is actually a straight piece of fabric. There is nothing special about it, just a straight piece of fabric on fold. So I'll go ahead to start knitting it on fold. So we'll knit it round till when I'll start knitting from the beginning to the end of the fabric. And when I'm done knitting, I will notch it. But when you are done knitting the mouth of the fabric, the two opening by the side will still be left out. So what we'll do, you will turn it backwards and then hold it down, like do a normal stitch, making sure that it enters, like it's formed. You sew it normally. You can use your thread and needle to just hold the mouth, or you can still use your thread and needle to sew it. It's not Nothing is actually wrong with that. Then after we're done sewing the sides, basically that's all for the knitting of the knitting of the rows. And you discover while you're knitting it will start forming a curve shape. By the time you are done knitting, you have to drag the thread together and tie it together, so it will give you that cycle kind of shape. So then we'll go ahead. This is what our rose will look like. So then we'll go ahead to attach our rose to our cap. Then after attaching it, we'll now attach our artificial rose already made flower to it using our candle gum, and basically our cap is ready.